Hi, I'm Ben Avery. This is Strangers and Aliens, and today I want to talk to you about a book that I was so surprised by. It's Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. This book surprised the socks off to me. I knew I was going to like it, I just did not expect how much I was going to like it. Hey everyone, Strangers and Aliens is a podcast and a video feed all about that kind of intersection between faith and fantasy, between spirituality and science fiction. And today I want to talk to you about a book that when I read it, it just engaged me on so many different levels. I just fell in love with this book, and I fell in love with the character that's central to this book. I am a science fiction writer, I am a comic book writer, and I am a fan of sci-fi, fantasy, all that stuff. And so I do want to just right now get this out of the way. Okay, Parabolic Orbits, it's ready, it's out, it is available now. Please check it out on Amazon. You can get it on for your Kindle, you can get it in paperback, but it is out now. I don't have my actual author copies yet, so I still only have the proof copy that's not for resale, but I'll be getting in actual author copies very soon. Just wanted to get that out of the way. But you want to talk about stories with sense of wonder and aliens and robots and all those things. Well, it's all in there, but the framework for every story is built on Jesus's parables, and so that is Parabolic Orbits. But I'm not here to talk about Parabolic Orbits. I'm just here to drop that in shamelessly because it's what I do. But no. Let's talk about Project Hail Mary. I don't know if you, and the reason I have it on my iPad is because I actually don't have this as a book. I listen to it as an audiobook, and normally that wouldn't be a necessary thing for me to differentiate between did I listen to it or read it. I know that listening and reading are two different, very different things, and I do get that and I understand that. For this particular book, the audiobook might have made it something that I liked more than I would have if I'd actually read the paper book. I think that I liked it more because of the voice of the reader of this book. But that is something that we'll get into in just a moment. Before we get there, I just want to say that 2025 for me on the reading side of things has been fantastic. It's been a fantastic year of discovering things that I wasn't expecting to like nearly as much as I did. Now, obviously, when we pick up a book, you're hoping you're going to like it. But this year, the hope was far exceeded by the reality of how much I liked these things and how much the books that I was picking up I absolutely adored. All right? And so with Project Hail Mary, the only reason that I decided to read it was because of The Martian and because of the movie that was coming out of Project Hail Mary. And so I was expecting to like it. And then it blew me away. I mean, it is leaps and bounds beyond, for me, the Martian. And The Martian did a great job of this stranded man trying to figure out what do I do, and then he has people on Earth who are trying to help him, and it's good. And so I hear about the trailer for Project Hail Mary, and I actually saw a post on Facebook. I don't even know who it was, but whoever said this, I am in your debt. Thank you so much for doing this. But they said, don't watch the trailer because it's going to spoil a pretty major turning point in the book. And I'm going to be very careful here. As I talk about Project Hail Mary, I'm not going to spoil this at all. I might talk a little bit about the setup, and I'll talk a little bit about things you can expect from that setup, but I don't want to spoil things for you. So if you've seen the trailer, then you kind of know what I'm talking about when it talks about when I talk about a big spoiler. But there was this. He said, "Don't watch the trailer if you haven't read the book," and I was like, "I'm not going to watch the trailer. I'm just going to find this book." And so I ended up getting on Audible and listening to it there. And so I was excited about the movie because hey, new science fiction movie. I'm down with that. Now I am very excited and hesitant about the movie because this book was so good. I don't know how they're going to translate this book into a movie. In fact, I could see this book working really well as like a 6 or 10 episode miniseries or something like that, an hour long each, because there's just plot beats and plot elements that really need to have the opportunity to stretch and the opportunity to be just to have time to get through all the stuff that it needs to get through. But I do know it can be done. A long book, well, I don't know how many pages it is because I didn't read it. I never held a copy in my hands. A long book, though, can be turned into a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. But I don't know. And there's other things in this book when it gets into some of the technical stuff and some of the stuff I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil. But I don't know how they're going to express that in the movie either. But anyway, the things that I enjoyed about Project Hail Mary, one of them was Andy Weir's voice as he is narrating the narrator. Your main character here, he's funny, he's hesitant, he's curious, he's intelligent, and all these things. And then you find out there's also some character traits that he has that aren't great. And I would say one of the most interesting things to me is that when this story gets through kind of its plot and gets past the climax of the plot, there's still more things happening, and there's like an emotional and moral climax that has to happen. And that's kind of the culmination of his character arc. And it's really good. And in fact, as I was listening and things have resolved and it seems like he's headed toward one resolution, I'm just thinking to myself, but wait a minute, if there's that one last problem that he has, doesn't that mean that there's something else that should, and it just, I started asking questions, and then he went there. Andy Weir went there with the story. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. And so I just love the voice of the main character in the narration and in the text. But then this is why I'm saying I wonder if I would have liked this book as much if I had just been reading it and it would have been the voice in my head, because, and I should probably look this up to see who the narrator was on this book, is narrated by Ray Porter. And he portrays the character. He's not just reading a book, he is acting a character. And the entire book is first-person narrative where he is telling the story. And there's flashbacks, but all the flashbacks are him recounting the things that happened to him. And then he's talking about what's happening to him right now in the narrative. And this Ray Porter, this narrator, he embodies the character. And he does it in such a way that he brings just the right amount of snark. He brings just the right amount, like when the character is feeling hesitation, you feel it in this guy's voice. And when the character is feeling excitement, you feel it in this guy's voice. It is not just a narration of a book. It is a performance of a character. And Ray Porter, I feel, absolutely is one of the reasons why I love this book so much. His performance, I mean, I don't know how they do audiobook awards, but if he didn't win an award for his performance in this book, then he should have won some sort of award, and if I could give him one, I would. Not that he cares, not that he's going to be listening to this, but yeah, just great performance. Here's some of the other things I liked about this book, though, because this checks off all the boxes for me. First of all, I've talked about this often, the sense of wonder. There is a sense of wonder in this book, and it's all the senses of wonder. Okay, when I talk about that sense of wonder, when I like what I like about my sci-fi is there's a couple different formats that it comes in. One is the sense of wonder that comes from, I wonder what's around the corner. What's going to happen next, and I throw out two movies from 1979 that embody these senses of wonder that I'm talking about. One is Alien, where I wonder what's around the corner, and is it going to kill me? Okay, is it going to eat my face? That's one sense of wonder. But then another sense of wonder that you get is from Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where, and I know some people don't appreciate Star Trek: The Motion Picture for what it does because it takes too long to do it. But I love it. I absolutely love it. And when I got to see Star Trek: The Motion Picture on the big screen and got to see as they're traveling through V'ger and they're, it's just this huge scale and the screen is filled, just absolutely filled with the thing that they're flying through. They're not flying around a planet. They are flying through this giant thing. And it's just a sense of awe and the sense of wonder and the sense of discovery as they're going through. And that's one of the things I love about Star Trek when it's done well, is the sense of discovery. I mean, it's all about exploring strange new worlds, or it's supposed to be all about exploring strange new worlds. Even sometimes when the show is called Strange New Worlds, they aren't exploring strange new worlds as much as I would like. But I like that show, don't get me wrong, but there are times when I'm like, hey, let's explore a strange new world instead of just, singing. But that's neither here nor there. This book, you have this sense of cosmic wonder where there is a existential problem for the world, and they have to solve this problem, and it's bigger than just the earth. I mean, it is something that is such a huge problem that when the book started, I'm like, they can't, how can they even solve this problem? How can anyone take care of this? And that's something that Andy Weir, in this book, he sets up problems that you think there's no possible way for this to have a reasonable solution, and then he nails it. And yeah, and there's something else I'll talk about that he just nailed that at the beginning. I was really like, there's no way he's going to be able to pay this off. And one of them was this cosmic existential crisis for the world. And I feel like he paid it off. I really do. And, kept me wondering, kept me guessing, but it also had that awe where I'm just like, that is so cool. And as they're making the scientific discoveries, and it's just, oh, that's so neat. And as they're going through and they're doing the spoilery thing, and the spoilery thing happens, and then there's the big spoiler and I'm just, oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. And so there is that sense of awe and wonder and discovery that I love in science fiction. It doesn't have to always be there in science fiction, but when it is there, I really, really appreciate it. But there's also the sense of wonder, as in, I wonder what's going to happen next, and I wonder how he's going to get out of this one, and I wonder how he's going to take care of this problem, and even there's just small problems that he has to deal with just for survival, and I'm just thinking, how is he going to do that? I wonder how he's going to get through that, and when he does, I'm like, okay, there it is. And so that's something I really appreciate about science fiction and fantasy, is just these big, amazing things, and there are big, amazing things in this book. But then there's also just the interpersonal things where you're wondering what's going to happen to him. How is he going to get out of this? How is he going to solve this problem? Because, as they're going through the adventure, things go wrong. Something else that I really enjoyed about this book were the revelations that come from the main character. This book reminds me, especially the opening, reminds me of the old text adventures that we used to play on our computers at school. And maybe you played these on your computer at home. I didn't have a computer at home. And so it was the computers at school and at my friend's house. And the text adventures where it's just, you wake up in a room and then you have to type in, get up out of bed. And it says, you get out of bed. You are now standing in a room. And then you look left. And then you look to the left and see a pile of clothes. Look at clothes. The clothes seem to be your size. Pick up clothes. And so as you're doing all those things, you are discovering why you were in the room, and then you're kind of figuring out what the story is, what the plot is. And some of those I remember starting out where you're like, this doesn't make any sense, and that's the way that this works for our main character here. He wakes up and he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't know why he is where he is and what he's supposed to be doing. And from there, he starts discovering things. And it even goes so far as to kind of explore why he can't remember what's going on, why he can't remember who he is. And when it all is said and done, I'm thinking to myself, there is no way that the mystery of who he is, the mystery was bigger than the payoff could ever be. And sometimes when you're reading a mystery or watching a mystery movie or a TV show, the setup is just amazing. You're just like, wow, that is so cool. How did the criminal do that or do this, and then the detective solves it and you're like, that was kind of dumb, actually. Like, that that didn't make any sense, or that's so mundane, and but in this case, he pays it off, and he pays it off, and then there's a plot twist that pays off it even more. It pays it off even more, and so it just, to me, the revelations of the character as he is self-discovering, who am I, why am I here, what am I doing, what am I supposed to be doing, what is even here. The payoff works, and the revelation as the peeled onion unfolds, unpeels, unfurls, whatever, as the layers of the onion get peeled away, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and have more and more revelations as to what is the truth, why is he there, what is he supposed to be doing. As that all gets revealed, to me, it was super satisfying. And to get to that point where, okay, now he knows everything. And then it's like, oh no, he's still remembering some things. And not only that, oh, that is quite the revelation. And so there was some really interesting stuff going there. And then finally, for me, on that kind of moral level, and the spiritual side of things, which it gets into some spiritual questions, not super in depth and not super direct, but they are there. But it gets into the questions of doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, and that's where kind of all that thematically kind of builds up into the kind of the moral and emotional climax at the end of the book. But especially as this character is realizing who he is and realizing there's some things about what I'm remembering that I don't like about myself, and it gets fascinating, it gets interesting, and that is another thing that just really resonated with me, is kind of these moral questions that it's dealing with, especially when the stakes are so high. And can we do things? And it's cool too, because in the flashbacks, they're talking about, like, these are the things that the people who are on Earth trying to solve the problem, they have to do things that not everyone agrees with. And it comes down to, okay, well, who has the most leverage here? and they get to choose, and so it just asks some really good questions. It doesn't necessarily answer all of the questions, but it definitely asks them, and in asking them, I appreciated that. And so these are just a few of the reasons why I like this book. I can't talk about out loud without coding some of the things I really like, so I'm just going to say it this way. In the middle of the book, when the spoiler is discovered and he starts to spoiler things and he's doing these other spoilery things, I just loved it. I just loved it. And the way that spoilery things were discovered and unravel and play out, it just hit me right here. It hit me right here. One unfortunate thing was, as the book was winding down toward the end, I was like, oh no, I just wrote a story that kind of resolves itself in a similar way. Yeah, and now I'm set it for the world, okay, but it's not quite the same. I hope it's different enough that people aren't going to be like, hey, you stole that from Project Hail Mary, but it was one of those things where, and it happens to authors and creators all the time, where oh shoot, somebody had a similar idea, and then for me, a lot of times it's, oh shoot, someone had a similar idea and they did it so much better than me. So and I guess one of the reasons for me liking this book so much is just that kind of parallel development kind of a thing, where I like something, so I wrote it, and then I'm reading this book and it's really connecting with me because I like that sort of thing. So anyway, all that to say, I recommend Project Hail Mary. I really, really do. I can't recommend the movie yet, but I will be talking about the movie, and I will definitely be seeing the movie in theaters now. I wasn't sure if I was going to see it in theaters. I was going to read the book, watch the trailer, and see what happens. And now I read the book, I've watched the trailer, and I'm thinking to myself, I got to see this movie. I got to see this movie. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. 2025 has been my year of fandom, where I've kind of become a fan of new things. And while I wouldn't call myself an Andy Weir fan, I think I need to read one more book of his to see, if was it Artemis, I think. If Artemis lives up to Project Hail Mary, then Andy Weir, you've got a brand new fan right here who is going to read anything you write as quickly as I can get to it. Have you read Artemis? Have you read Project Hail Mary? I would love to hear from you and hear what you have to say. Did you like the book? Because like I said, my friend, he didn't like it nearly as much as I did. In fact, he said he remembered being very bored. So I'm curious. Did you read it? Did you like it? And Artemis, do you recommend it? The Martian, what did you think? All right. Well, all that to say, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please head out to benavery.com/orbits where you can join the email list, but you can also now find Project Parabolic Orbits. It is in Amazon now. It is on benavery.com, my web store right now. You can get it on Kindle, paperback, and that's one way you can support the podcast and support the YouTube channel is by getting that book. But until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with my shameless self-promotion, but also I want to hear from you. What do you think about Andy Weir? Until next time, Godspeed. Okay, let's explore a strange new world instead of just, singing.